before we had language, there was this wailing, this crying, this type of shared experience that we had in the bush. Beep, doop, doop, doop. And the purpose really is for us to lift each other up.
Wha Gwaan Munchy.
Miss Munchy, what we tell him?
I hear me, Miss Munchy.
Keep on it locked with Munchy.
Miss Munchy.
Are you run the thing, so watch out now.
You know me, I say Munchy.
Munchy. Yell up Munchy.
Wha Gwaan Munchy.
Reggaeville family, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Wha Gwaan Munchy. And as you might remember, last time I told you about a wonderful, very beautiful and amazing new record that came out in May on the 13th, which is One Rock by Groundation. And today I'm very happy and thankful and excited to welcome to my show one of its creators. Harrison Stafford is with me. How are you today, Harrison?
I am quite well, Munchy. I'm happy to be here with you again. I give thanks.
I'm definitely very, very happy to see you on my show as well, because I love the new record. It has been such a joy to listen to the music that you guys created all together. When we say one rock, you're talking about this one rock that we're living on, right? This earth that we're living on. And yes. I feel like these are very challenging times for us as humanity living together on this one rock. You also spoke of division, despair, and fear. What issues, what problems are you addressing on these records that may be recent events that actually motivated and inspired the music that we can hear?
Yeah, I mean, many emotions on this record. It's a very deep and spiritual album. A lot of it changed quite a bit over the pandemic. We were set to record the new album in 2020 in the spring. And the music was very different and the emotion was very different. And through the postponing, started to write new songs and create something, and realizing that two things. We needed to make a statement here about these human flaws that we have with greed and vanity and power, as well as trying to, like Groundation has always done from the beginning, honor the past, because over these 2.5 years, we have seen so many of our great elders and legends of the Jamaican music pass away. So this motivated then the collaborations on the record, which is Vibration, the Abyssinians and The Congos, which to me is, I just love saying that, that this record features such legendary vocal groups, and it's a passionate record. And, I think it really begins with that first song, Original Rhythm, trying to remind ourselves of the one root, the one family, the shared history that we all have. This world is so divided and so, kind of heated, side against side and people against people. And just trying to say, let's step back here in looking at music, which to me, I've always talked about it being the original language. Before we have religions, before we had language, there was this wailing, this crying, this type of shared experience that we had in the bush. This is thousands and thousands and thousands of years of our human DNA. So the first song, Original Rhythm, really tries to put together that, listen, this is an ancient form of communication through times of sorrow and celebration. Before man walked and talked about, we formed a union where no tribe was left out. Everybody has their heartbeat. Everybody has their song. So, and the song features both Israel Vibration and the Abyssinians. So right away, from the first track, it really sets the stage of what the album is about. It's about the human story. It goes on to Human Race with the strings. First time we've had a string trio. And, it really dives in. The song Human Race ends with that division. And the division is where greed and vanity and the songs following on the record really try to deal with these pitfalls and these, like I said, these human flaws that we have. And we have to get over them to achieve a greater union and to be able to achieve a balance with this one rock. So the album originally was going to be this more upbeat, because Groundation don't use major chords very often. And we don't have these party songs or love songs or marijuana songs. It's really focused. And this album is very focused on what this human mission is, what the goal of life is, and trying to get on the same page that our goal is the preservation of life, a beautiful and powerful future for our children, and that it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a struggle. And you have to be strong, as the album ends with the song Iron. You have to be really strong and like iron. Take your beating and take your licks, but you don't fade away. You get shaped and you get molded into a different person, and you get stronger in those difficult moments. So we are all very proud of the album. And it's just because of the circumstance of this pandemic and what has happened that really created the record.
You just now mentioned the pandemic again, and I know you're a band that loves to actually play together in the studio. That is kind of the spirit, that is kind of the special vibe. Now I figure, you can tell me more about it. You could not do that maybe because of the lockdown situation and so forth. How did it actually practically work out in the studio for you guys to create this album?
Well, as we were all self-isolating, we began to demo the album. The idea is I would put acoustic guitar in the vocal and get the framework of the song. And then the drummer in his studio would track the drums and the bassist would track the bass. And we're able to look at the compositions and the arrangements and how to really get the emotion out of it. And then once things started to ease off, we came together, as safe as we could. Certainly the keyboard, drum, bass, guitars, vocals, and work together in rehearsal studios for days and days on many sessions to really fine tune these songs and have a shared input. Whereas the Next Generation, the previous record, was similar to Young Tree and Each One Teach One and Hebron Gate, where these are just songs that I had, showing it to the band and the band rehearsing and getting the parts down. This album was much more like a We Free Again, Upon the Bridge, Here I Am, where we spent a lot of time together sharing ideas of how to really elevate it. So we still managed to get together. It was a difficult time when people were, performing solo to a phone or whatever it was. And as you said, that was never the intent for me about music and the band. It was all about people and then recording the record. We record the record as we always do, which is analog recording, meaning that the band is together, the drummer's counting off the song, and we're all playing, and there's no fixing or changing or copying and pasting of stuff. It's just as we play it. Solos, everything, just that same way. And we don't use click track. So we're one of the only bands you'll ever hear that doesn't have that beep, doop, 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 beep, doop, And to me, that's the original rhythm. As I mentioned, the first track, we never made music with computers. We've made music for tens of thousands of years as humans together, creating this rhythm, creating this energy. And that's what we wanted to capture on this record. And in the studio, flying Jim Fox to California, recording again at Prairie Sun, as we've done all of the Groundation records there from Hebron Gate on. It was very organic and very much, like I said, you got to perform it as you perform it. You got to sing it as you sing it. There's no auto tuning and this stuff. It's a very much roots and organic sound.
I'm glad to hear that you still were able to do that together in the studio. If you guys want to see how that actually worked out and how the music for the album One Rock was created, you can also go on Groundation's YouTube channel, because you guys put out 2 episodes already of how you created Original Rhythm and Human Race. And if you're there on YouTube, you can also maybe go over to Reggaeville's YouTube at some point, because as you know, we have new music videos premiering there every day. And we also have one coming up tomorrow by Italian Piero Dread. He also will present to us a video that deals with a lot of problems that humanity is facing at the moment, a lot of challenges. It's a very beautiful video put together for a song called Treat for the Day.
We would rock all night long. What a treat for the day. You give me sugar and plum and Jamaican rum. Oh, what a treat for the day. You send me coconut water with the Spanish daughter. What a treat for the day now. Come make me rock and dance, jump and prance. Oh, what a treat for the day. This earth was made for you and me to enjoy every land and every sea. Thou the swift rip the fruits and legacy. The book of life is so stronger than the same tree. I find your love, I live in harmony. Can't be fooled by the human philosophy. Oh yeah.
This album is dedicated to the elders, those legendary Jamaican artists who challenged the system and inspired us to become better individuals. That is a quote about the album One Rock by Groundation. And indeed, as you mentioned already, you welcome 3 legendary Jamaican music groups, vocalists of 3 groups, the Congos, that you previously did a lot of work with already, the Abyssinians, and Israel Vibration. Why did you choose those in particular for One Rock? And please tell me a bit, how did you meet them in the first place? How is the personal relationship with those artists?
Right. I mean, how did I choose them? It was like a dream, to be honest, Munchy. I didn't expect it really to work.
Wow.
Because, I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
And the musicians, singers are scattered, not just in Jamaica, but they're scattered around the US. So it would be a mission to fly and record all of them.
Right.
In thinking of who to really feature, it was a dream and a no-brainer to think Israel Vibration. I've wanted to feature them for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And they don't feature on people's records. You're not going to find, this featuring Israel Vibration on these albums. So I knew it would be very rare. I had met Skelly Wiss and Apple when I was teaching the history of reggae music in California around late 90s, and formed a great relation, especially with Wiss and Apple, sitting with them, learning the history. So from that time, and of course, as Groundation became bigger and bigger, we would be together on tours and festivals, and the relationship grew. And then, of course, doing Holding On to Jah, sitting with them again. In relation to Congo's Abyssinians Vibration, I have known them for a very long time. I knew it was a possibility to be able to work with them. The Abyssinians, I know was going to be a struggle. Sata, Bernard Collins in Jamaica, is not in good health. He's got Parkinson's. So he's not touring and playing and going to studio at all. But I've known him through Holding On to Jah, again, for many years. And I knew if I was going to record him, it would be at his house. And it would have to be a very short part of the featuring because he's not so clear in his head, balance-wise. And he just kept saying, Harrison, I well want to do it, but I'm just afraid. I'm afraid that I'll get in the mic and I won't know what's happening and I won't know the words. I said, no, Sata, you're going to do great. And plus, all of these artists know the work of Groundation. So they know the level it's going to be at. I'm not going to, as I said to Sata, I'm not going to be releasing anything of you singing off key and out of time. And whatever it is, it's going to be great. And then once he was able to record, then I talked to the Mannings and getting the original harmony groups of the Abyssinians together in Florida. And so original rhythm, Israel Vibration and Abyssinians. And as I'm in my kitchen, my wife says, so what's going on? You're going to have Abyssinians and Israelization. You're not going to have the Congos on the record? I said, what? No. I'm going to have Congos. Yes.
Okay.
Congos. So we had this groove in the band that we wanted to use for a long while and we were jamming with. And it wasn't until my wife said Congos and I went into studio that I got this hook for One Rock. The song really doesn't have a chorus and there's no repeating sections, which is very Groundation as well. But it has bookends. It's bookend with this, a one rock that we dip on. Just remember it's our father's home. And I knew right away that sounded to me like Cedric Myton chanting that lead vocal.
Right.
And I have Cedric since I was a teenager. About 15 years old, I've known Cedric Myton and been with his family when he was here in the States. And then when he returned to Jamaica, we, of course, did Hebron Gate and Here I Am. And these three groups today, as far as living legends, there's nobody greater in the history of reggae music than the Abyssinians, Israelization, and the Congos. I mean, the Abyssinian Satamasagana is the hymn of reggae music in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So I knew that if this album could feature anybody, you know, these are harmony groups. So it's not just a lead singer. It's not just Pablo Moses or Ijaman or Horace Andy, you know, it's a collective. And the Congos are like the only remaining harmony trio that all three members are still alive. All three members are strong and healthy, and they're so electric. I mean, Ashanti Roy is 80 years old next year. And these guys are like kids. Oh, yeah, they're all excited. And, I mean, you've met Cedric many times.
Yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't even think that the man was in his mid-70s.
Right, yeah.
So in doing this, we record the record here in California with the group. I go to Texas and record Whis of Israelization. I go to New York to record Skelly. I go to Jamaica to record Bernard Collins. I go to Florida to record the Mannings and David Morrison. I go back to New York to record Waddy, and then I come back to California and we do the mixing. So it was an adventure to record all these legends, and it was every day. I wasn't in these places long. I mean, I was moving and moving and moving. It was like clockwork. Everything had to work, I would record in the studio that day. And then in the evening, I'd fly to the next destination, go to hotel late at night, record in the studio next day, fly to the next destination. And I did these featuring in like 5 days, moving on. And wow, I've said before in other interviews that just as a fan of reggae music, to be able to have an album in 2022 featuring
right.
is like, that's it. You have to. I mean, it doesn't matter if you like Groundation or not. You have to check out Original Rhythm. You have to check out Iron and One Rock. I mean, these, as we've seen over these last 2 years, I mean, they're not going to be around much longer, I mean, we just lost Tabby and Bunny. And I mean, in 10 years' time, there's going to be very few of these. When we say foundation, we mean those artists who were in Jamaica when Selassie came, when they took up this mantle of Rastafari, put it into the music and carried it around the world. In a few years, it's just going to be people who have stories about them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So since we're here and these legends are here, as the album, like you just read, it's livicated to the elders. So I am just and they sound great. It's not anything where you're like, I wish, you can tell they're old and what. No, they sound wonderful. And everybody from all the musicians, Jim Fox, the engineer, everybody is just so proud of the work.
Definitely. I'm also, I really enjoy to see your enthusiasm about this thing, and I'm very happy to hear that the challenge that you took on with your journey and your adventure was that successful that we can be hearing it now. We mentioned challenging the system. We mentioned becoming better individuals. I think this is something that is urgently needed in these times. do you think that music should always take on the responsibility and should always aim to create such an awareness, so to speak? Or do you think that sometimes maybe music is still, let's say, just not leveling it, but music, and should not carry such a heavy burden at the same time? Where is the line between those?
Right. I mean, you are 100% right. Lots of people use music and treat music as a way of escaping life's problems. And so you see these things. But for me personally, the whole reason why I even chose the path of reggae was because of the lyrical potency. I mean, when I speak of reggae music, I mean that original Jamaican signature, which can be found in the late 60s and 70s, where the one drop takes its shape, which is not really found in reggae anymore. Reggae has turned more into a backbeat, like a hip hop style, which is no problem. But the original thing that I'm coming from is this one drop. And if you look at those records, whether it was Culture, Twinkle Brothers, Gladiators, Burning Spear, Congos, Easer Vibration, Abyssinians, Mighty, there was no escape. The whole point of reggae was to focus people on becoming better, on getting closer to the Most High, on challenging the system that is not working for society, these presidents and prime ministers. So to me, reggae music, it's fine, rock, hip hop, funk, soul, all of these music is great. And love songs, party, everything is great. But to me, reggae music from Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer has a purpose. And the purpose really is for us to lift each other up and try to speak of, even just to speak of, a better world to come. And that is what Groundation has been committed to for over 20-something years. And we continue to do so. And maybe that turns people away, you know? I mean, but I knew this right away from forming the record label, that long songs through composed, long solos, odd time rhythms, outside harmonies, these are not selling radio-friendly things. But to me, it was all about trying to push, trying instead of trying to sound like something that's already come, try to create something that no one's ever heard before. That to me is more, you know, special and more. It has a quality to it that is like food for the future. It's not a music that's going to be gone tomorrow. It's a music that's going to stay. And that to me, I want to inspire other musicians to say, okay, we can try, right? We can try these things. We can explore these areas and avenues. We don't have to sound like what's on the radio. And to me, that is what creates special and moving music in the long run.
You mentioned purposes of music, purposes of reggae music. One song I really appreciated is Day When the Computer Done. And there you sing, watching numbers steadily climb, given a piece of plastic to ease your mind. Also, they say drawn to criminalize what they say and post, so false information spread like fire while wind blow. So we have on one hand, we're saying, okay, be careful when you use your phone, your computer, when you use social media, right? On the other hand, these same means can also be useful, right? To connect us, to provide important information that maybe other people would not have the access to, for example. Do you think this also should be something that we look at as another purpose of reggae music to create the awareness of using media, especially in 2022, using media wisely? Because this is something that I think is very important these days.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there must be responsibility, whether it comes to technology and media. We're free to a certain point, but you have to look at the cause and effects of what we're doing. Day When the Computer Done is about the fragility of this life, and that this digital world is not reality, and that can be done, that can be finished in a blink of an eye. So we must remember that the technologies are there to assist, but it's not something that we can lean our life on. Right. It's like you were to get your even in this day of getting all of your food from flying from thousands of miles away, when these things stop, you have to still remember what it takes to plant and harvest food. So we can't lose our connection to the earth by this great technology that we have. And that's why on Day When the Computer Done, it has this and it has this space. And then it goes into this crazy chord changes, sax of solo, really wild. That is the Day When the Computer Done. That moment in the song is the day. It's crazy and it's beautiful and it's heartbreaking and it's scary, and that's that moment. In speaking, though, in a larger and broader sense beyond that, as you're saying, the social medias is a great tool. I mean, you see it today. It's kind of the tool to spreading messages and connecting people. It has helped humanity break down borders and connect in a way that we have never, ever been able to do so before. And that is beautiful and wonderful. At the same time, as I said, false information and the wrong thing can spread very fast because of it as well. Right. So it's a blessing and it's a curse.
Exactly. And
just like democracy and capitalism, if there's no responsibility for the outcomes, then it's very dangerous. We have to do the right thing for each other. And in the end of the day, we have to answer to our children. So I think that, we have to be wise when connecting in this digital era. We just got to be wise.
As we said, there are a lot of challenging that mankind is facing these days. In Market Price, a song on the album, you sing, man sold his soul, man's spirit is gone, the devil takes control. How do you look into the future? Because this sounds very dark. Are you optimistic or are you fearful?
Well, yeah, that's kind of why that song Market Price ends with, and there's a rhythm inside of we are going to shift society. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a reminder that in Market Price, it's a very unique song. And with a 7/4 time, but the whole premise was in the time here in America with Donald Trump and all these things, and you see Bolsonaro in Brazil, and you see different right-winged governments rising up, and even fascist governments. And you say, look at these wicked people. I say, you know what, that's true. But if you look at history, the wicked people are there as presidents and prime minister. But what about the millions of people that go along with it, that are right there? That's why in the song I talk about, look at them by Benito smiling and by Hitler's side. Wicked men play their games for power and the people abide. It's looking at us as people, and that we are the ones who give the power to these horrific movements that create these devastating effects in our world. So we see today that it's happening again. I mean, we see it here in America with all the gun violence that's taking place and the school shootings and things. It's like there was a market price for the human soul to see a wrong and not do the right. The devil takes control. So it is just trying to say that this power and these leaders have sold themselves And we cannot follow them in what they're saying and doing, because they're not doing the right thing for people. They're doing the right thing to keep that money in their pocket and that power that they hold. Yeah. So market price is a challenge to all those things. And that's why you look at the people, please don't judge man's soul tonight, is what I say. We're not ready, Lord. Up in heaven, all the angels ask, where did man's spirit go? Gone again. And now, as I speak to the next generation, it's all up to you. It's hard to believe, but it's true. We are the masters of this world. The Most High give us the strength to create the world of our dreams. So we have the power to make this a beautiful world. And I believe through music, just as when you sit, Munchy, with all these elders, whether Horsemouth and all these great legends and things, that the music is the revolution. And the music is what the Bible speaks of, that is going to create this type of change in society. And that's the end of market price, is to say, listen, as I've always believed in Groundation's mission, there is a music out there. There is a way that unites people and really leads us down a positive path. And it's through music and through rhythm. It has its connection to all these wizards and sorcery. It has an effect. Music is a vibration, like the earth gives its vibration, like our heart gives us our vibration. So we have to just put out the right thing in hopes that it will then change society to say, oh, it's not this wealth. That's why, as the next song goes, silver and gold, it's not this wealth that is it. Our wealth is in the prosperity and the preservation of life. So that is what we're trying to accomplish on this One Rock.
Right. And I'm very happy that additionally to the album that they put out with One Rock, you will also be sharing this vibration live with the people also. You're going to be playing live this summer. The people can check out a lot of the dates. Also, for the rest of the year, right? If all goes well, let's just hope so. Also, a lot of the festivals that have not taken place throughout the last couple of years are now finally taking place again. The festival season is ready and coming up. And also Reggaeville will put together all the information, the lineups, the running orders, location, and so forth for all the events this summer in the Festival magazine that is coming out online, digitally for free, and also in a print edition. We're going to give away that print edition at one of the first festivals coming up now in Europe, one of the largest. Also, Summerjam is taking place in Cologne, Germany, July 1st until July 3rd with a great lineup. Shaggy, Sean, Paul, C. Gentleman, Steph London. Amazing lineup. And also Inner Circle will be playing there, who last played there in 2018.
I feel like these more trees. I be just having fun. We don't care. I feel like we go out. That's so fun. I just want to be living young. Yo, we no circle. You should not know it's not a problem. Do we get fast out when it goes in our body? Young but we're in relation to this with fun. And I make love so many with 2 hands. Love is my oh, when you find a little come and look for your people. Like we don't need no visa. My love, we are living positive. Cause we don't want to see we live up with no visa. We live it to the fullest. We live it like the last of every squad. Let my one up and that's never glass. I don't trust you for 50 years we are. And they still I do this just because we don't feel the concept like everything I said before. Because I'm not the man class. The money boss. Come on, see your hands. Come on. So much we get drunk. So much we smoke trees. We just having fun. We don't care. So much we go out. That's how it's supposed to be. I need in your mind. Sing it.
Harrison, as I mentioned, touring, that could be the motto for Groundation for the rest of the year. So you are confident in that happening. How do you feel about actually seeing people again, interacting with people in front of people? I mean, this must be so exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is after all this time. You know, in the beginning of the pandemic, it was very hard for me, as I'm sure it was for many artists. Not just, our tours and we can't afford to do these things and there's no money. And, not that. That music is like church. Music is like a spiritual healing for people. And to not have none of that for 2 years is like the wickedness of humanity was ruling. So now we're getting to step out. We're getting to put out that energy again, God willing. To be honest, it's like I said, we just came back from Brazil. It's still very, anxious, the anxiety and touring and masking and when to mask, when to not mask. And, you end up being like, oh, take a photo, take your mask off. No, I can't take my mask off, It's different. It's different, but we have to try. We have to begin. We have to step out. We have to try our best. And able to do the tour. We as Groundation, we don't play with backing tracks and things. We have 10 musicians on the stage, 3 horns, 2 girls, all of these stuff is there. So there's a lot of responsibility that we all have to each other. So had band meetings to say about all this tours coming up, having to stick to yourselves, stay in your hotel room. We're not going to be going around the cities and going out to restaurants and bars with friends. We're going to be, because if one of us does that and brings it into the bus and whatnot, it could just stop the whole tour.
Right.
So it's the touring still has a lot of challenges to it, especially when you're like us and you're playing all these different countries. You fly to the UK, you fly to Morocco, you fly to Argentina, and you have to get tested every place you go. So one positive test would just shut it all down. So
yeah, right.
It's still, we all agree that it's something that we have to do and we love to do, and we are willing to sacrifice how it used to be, right? We used to be open and free and hugging with fans that go to the merch booth and hi and shake hands and bless everybody up. And there's this community. That's what reggae is, right? Reggae is this.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more distant now. And that's the way it has to be for a time. But we believe that we're going to be able to do it. We're going to be able to deliver that message, that upful energy, that positive energy that people have been missing. And God willing, with the months to come, this thing will slowly leave us and we'll be able to again return to that freedom that we took for granted before.
I'm very happy that you explained to us also the situation for you as the artist, and that maybe the fans can now understand also more your position in this, and also why we have to move along for a certain period still in a certain way because of the circumstances. But eventually, I just hope for all of us that the hugging will take place again, because I'm very much looking forward to that. Of course, at the same time, looking forward to seeing Groundation play this One Rock album live. Also to seeing you again. Hopefully that happens also when you're on tour. We're gonna cross paths. Harrison, thank you so much for this wonderful interview, this wonderful conversation. It was really inspiring, enlightening, just like your new album, your music. So for the tour and also for this record, all the very best to you and the whole band. Enough love and thank you so much.
Gee, thanks to the whole Reggaeville. Yeah, we are honored and we are blessed. Keep doing what you do.
Wha Gwaan Munchy.